Hey, what's up, guys? Nighter here. So I'm coming back for my game with Marco. The last video we were in move 16, and I actually played a lot of moves, and I didn't record videos of my thought process. So I'm gonna try to recap and catch up to where we are today. So here's where we stopped, move 16. And I didn't quite like my position here. I think white is somewhat limited. His knight seems to be better than my dark square bishop. Um, the game progressed with he pinned my pawn on c4 with moving the bishop to a6. Apparently, I thought this was a move that not very aggressive. His bishop doesn't cover much squares at from a6, but it was kind of annoying, right? You don't ever want to have discovered attacks over your queen. So I just overly protected this pawn instead of moving my queen. He challenged the e-file. In the last video, I was questioning how much of a true board dominance, if that's the right way to say it, I had with my e1 rook. And I knew it was easily challenged. So he challenged. I decided that giving up my dark square bishop for his knight seemed more active than my bishop, and with the e-file challenged, he could move his knight to e4, and well, moving his knight to e4, I can take, and I win the exchange. But my point is, I think his knight was more active than my bishop. So I ended up trading. He took with the queen to avoid doubling the pawns. I started playing some prophylactics moves, and here's where I thought I was worse, because now he's gonna double up the rooks on the e-file, and I'm very passive, very passive. So I started losing hope. I started to think that a draw in this position would be even good for me. I couldn't see a way to attack. His structure is very well connected. His pawn structure is great. His rooks are great. I don't know why he moved b8. Maybe he wanted to push the pawn to b5. But either way, black is just better in my mind. I blocked the a pawn just so I don't. I block the a pawn and I prevent the b pawn being pushed. And then he doubled up the rooks. This is another prophylaxis move on my side, kind of to avoid the back rank, and this would, in my mind, pay off later on. So what ended up happening is he again opposed his bishop with my queen, but I started just playing passive and just keeping up the position, not really attacking. I didn't see a way to attack, so I just sit on it and see what he would do. Maybe even with the double rooks, he would give me an opportunity. And that is what ended up happening. So when he pushed this pawn, the c pawn in my mind was a mistake. And we're going to see why. The first is I push my pawn with tempo. So if I push the pawn, he can move rook e6. I push the second pawn, he can take, and then my queen gets in his space. And that's when I think I started to flip the game. And this is exactly what ended up happening. Now here, he needs to be very careful on what he does. He ended up playing rook e5, and he removed the double threat on the isolated pawn I had, and that actually pushed me to infiltrate his territory. Now I'm starting to win tempo because I'm attacking the bishop. He needs to protect the bishop, and I'm in his territory. And here's what happened. He had no other way but to retreat his rook to e8, and then I win the pawn back, so his material advantage starts to crumble. And he may try for a draw in this position, but I just realized that this pawn without the blocking pawn on the d7 square is just too dangerous. There is no, there is a constant threat that he needs to worry, and that's what ended up happening. I simply moved my queen. He tried to challenge my queen again, and here I thought I really can attack because of his back rank. If I had my own back rank problems, I would be more concerned, but his own king is back ranked. So I simply pushed, and of course if he takes, I push, he takes forced and mate, right? So he can't do that. He moved back. So when I pushed the d7 pawn, he moved back. And with that, I took the other rook on b8. Thinking, take, similar situation, all because of bank rank mates. And that's it. So I took, and he resigned. I honestly, looking back, think that I was lucky. I mean, it was a complicated position from this point on, but when he allowed my d pawn to be pushed here, even though the machine doesn't say I'm better, it's still showing black has the advantage. I felt very good. So in my mind, the black mistake was to push the c pawn. As odd as it seems, pushing the c pawn allowed my d pawn to advance with tempo, and I simply kept going as white and invaded his queenside territory. Maybe I didn't play the best moves here after I pushed my white pawn, but I'm pretty pleased because I was already thinking I either had a lost position or at least a draw. So that's it. That's the wrap of my game with this very nice guy, Marco. And we're up for the rematch where I play black. I just started the rematch after he resigned, and I'll do more video series. I'll keep them to myself, and after the game ends, I will publish. Now I'm wondering if I should publish my analysis for this match. I probably will, and I will share with Marco. Hey Marco, great games. Really like our matches. Best luck managing TGAP, and I'll see you in my next match. Ciao.